Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Today is finally the day that the entire season has been culminating towards the beginning of the Call of Duty League Worlds Championship of 2023. 4 massive games today. The OpTic guys have given their prediction on how they see things going, and also Hex reveals that Ghosty is now well again for the OpTic guys, but this only happened over the last few days, which might well have affected their preparation. But very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy for supporting this weekend's champs coverage. If you guys want to get involved in the fastest growing fantasy platform on the web, here's where you want to go. They've got the higher and lower stuff you guys might be familiar with, but what I like is the rivals. Choose between two players. Who's going to get more kills across maps 1, 2, and 3? So for example, between Drazah and Envoy, is Envoy going to get more kills, or is Drazah +1 going to get more kills? That's the adjustment factor here in play. We look at between some of the OpTic guys here. So Dashy's expected to get less kills than Shotzzy, so either Shotzzy gets more map 1, 2, and 3, or Dashy +5 gets more. So if you guys want to get involved and you're in one of these localities, sign up with code RAB and Underdog will match any deposit you make up to the value of $100. If you choose to play, make sure you play responsibly. And let's get right on with the video, baby, because Champs is here and I absolutely cannot wait. Thieves are taking things seriously as well, and I will definitely say this. So here's Envoy here doing, this guy thinks he's Pierre Gasly, right? You guys might have seen the Formula 1 drivers do quite a lot of this. And this is actually my friend Ryan here, and it's really cool to see him working with, I've known him for a couple of years now, with these Thieves guys. And I'm telling you, they're taking it seriously, right? Because it was not that long ago where OpTic, their only guy on the coaching department was JP Krez. He was their coach, analyst, he was doing it all. Thieves, they've got Jacob, they've got Shane, they've got Novus, their GM, but he used to be their analyst, right? He knows numbers, and now they bring in Ryan as well to help with their performance coaching stuff and, you know, nutrition, all this. It's going to be an important factor. I'm pretty sure New York have done this as well and brought someone in to help them with this over the last couple, maybe year or so, something like that anyway. So some teams are taking it more seriously than others. Whether it works for these guys, who knows, but I'm definitely going to be, you know, keeping up with their progress this weekend. I'm looking forward to hopefully I can get a good result with these guys. I'd definitely love to see it. And Kenny, it's kind of interesting. He had 2 grand final performances his first 2 years in the scene, and then 2 years out of things, and then 1 year back in the finals and winning it. So maybe there's a bit of a trend there, but, you know, humans love to look into patterns that don't necessarily exist. But who knows? Thieves, I think they could definitely compete this weekend, and we'll dive into where they might finish here in the coming minutes. First of all, a big update arrived yesterday, and this is another Infinity Ward classic. It's not quite the same as what they did back in Infinite Warfare. I don't know if you guys remember this. It was during an event. I don't think it was Anaheim. I think it was earlier in the year, maybe an ESWC. And there used to be, we used to play Uplink, right, back in the Jetpack games, because it was a great game mode. Rest in peace, Uplink. They tried it in World War II with Gridiron on the ground. Didn't work. But there was a map called Throwback where the Uplink portal, there was a shot that you could do where you get into a certain corner, you jump into the sky, throw it, and it would land for a 1-point throw if you got a certain amount of map control. The pros turned up on Friday and they were doing that one, and they were getting the 1-point hits and they were getting the points on the board, no problem. But then they turned up on Saturday and the same lineup wasn't working and they couldn't figure out why. Turns out Infinity Ward have released a patch overnight to move the uplink portal literally mid-weekend, and they, I guess, had no idea there was an event on. The pros were mind blown, and look, it's not quite as bad as that. I don't think we're ever going to see anything as bad as that again, but they still don't really seem to know what's going on, and they've actually updated the spawns on some maps, but especially Hotel and Expo. So this is pretty interesting, and this won't be affecting the pros because they will play on like the older patch update anyway, and this is not going to affect them. For challengers though, because the challengers, they play on the PCs and they install them and they download the latest version of the game and all this, they tend to play on the newest patch update. So it's quite likely that the challengers champs is going to be played on this new patch. Now we don't know how tuned these spawns are, whether they're drastically different, whether they're not, but it's definitely interesting. So it's quite possible that the entire challengers tournament is played on the new patch with the brand new spawns on these 2 maps, and obviously Hotel is very highly played, right? It's played pretty much every single series at this point, and they might be playing what could be a brand new game and experience for the challengers players. But then for the finals, that's going to be on the main stage, that's likely to be played on the old patch. Not guaranteed, but that's probably how it will be. So yeah, it's not exactly great for the challengers guys. I know they're used to it at this point, but it's still not exactly ideal. There was also this update yesterday, so patch notes for Season 4, and I feel like for Treyarch, it's kind of like a lose-lose for them. They damned if they do, damned if they don't in some ways, because the new weapons in the game, usually, because ranked play needs to be aligned with what the pros play, usually these new weapons, because they're quite broken often, just get removed straight away, and if they don't, players complain until they do. So now Treyarch have decided, you know what, whenever there's new guns in the game, we'll just ban them straight away, and then at least ranked stays as it does for or as the pros play kind of thing. But Parasite is like, look, why ban the new weapons before people can try them? So I do think it's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't for these guys, right? And yes, the cheater situation isn't good. Yes, ranked is a bit stale. And I do think that come the off-season, they should allow these new weapons, should test some new maps and try. But then again, at that point, Trek have got to focus on their own game they've got to release soon enough anyway. So, you know, they're doing it all. They're trying their best. But, you know, I guess they can't win always. Wanted to look at some stats here for some of the pre-tournament favourites. Thought it was kind of remarkable the fact that OpTic, they haven't won anything. They've obviously placed second at a couple of events, but they're first in a lot of statistical categories. Series, win-loss, longest win streak, longest loss streak as well, actually. So they're first with only 2 series losses in a row the entire season, and they're currently on a 2-loss streak, right, after what happened at Major 5. So by this logic, they should definitely beat Boston if this holds up. They actually have the best Game 5 record as well at 9-3, but their Round 11 record isn't so good. And outside of Control, they're top 3 or top 1 straight up in like all of the modes. So, you know, there's a lot of optimism to be had here for OpTic over the course of the season, but they haven't quite got over the line yet. These are the numbers here for Toronto, which is, you know, it's kind of like OpTic's, but their search is actually the slightly weaker one, and it's their Control that's just straight up number 1. I mean, Control record 33-12. Like, that's just outrageously good, and that will get them a long way if they can maintain that. And they were still pretty damn good at Major 5, right, but couldn't get past this team, the New York Subliners. These were the Lion Man cards. Their Control was -6-7, but 15-3 S&D. I didn't even realize how good it was. Like, because on LAN it was great, but I didn't realize how good they were online at Surge. I can't expect them to maintain that kind of, like, literally 85% win rate in search for the World Championship, and if they do end up playing FaZe at some point, especially in the finals, that's going to be a real test. But yeah, very impressive, and it was the Search that got them the event win. I mean, Search and Destroy wins championships. We full well know that at this point. Let's talk about the OpTic guys then, because they're going in as far from the favourites this time. They definitely have the potential to win. I talked about it yesterday that I just don't know what to expect from these guys. Will they win it? Will they come top 6? I mean, I think it could be pretty much anywhere between the two. But that might be a similar story in fairness for like all of the contenders this tournament, because it's just so competitive that I think there's going to be a lot of Game 5s, and I think a lot of different things can happen here. The OpTic guys, so this is recorded before they flew out to Vegas, I'm guessing 1 or 2 days ago at this point, with Zinni, Hex of course, Hitch and Scump, and they give their thoughts on what's going to happen. They're predicting OpTic to win, right, which is expected, but the thoughts on what's going on with Ghosty, and also Zinni's thoughts on Boston and the fact that Snoopy will be a threat in the series they play, especially because, and they play later on today, there's no preparation. You can't prepare for Boston, right? You just have to go in with your own game. They've got a brand new team. Maybe it shouldn't even be allowed to make changes, because they're going in with very limited prep on Boston, whereas Boston have a lot of prep they can do on OpTic. Will it make a difference though? I'm not so sure.
If you're behind going into champs, it like amplifies, because you can't catch up. There's only 2 weeks of practice. Teams aren't even practicing every day. Like, if you're behind going into champs, you're just...
We're kind of behind.
Who, us?
Yeah.
No, we just had a bad weekend.
No, Ghost was having some stomach issues up until like 3 days ago.
No, we had a bad weekend. We're winning.
Yeah.
OpTic Texas win.
This is the finale. This is how we think it's got. Yeah, it's good. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I like that.
We can do that.
I like that.
That works.
Put it up there. Do it.
No.
Do it.
Boston.
Same kid we said about it.
Boston's weird because they just made another roster change, and they have 2 rookies and two rookie SMGs going to champs. One guy, his first ever event at the pro levels against OpTic, first match in Vegas at champs. Like, he might be just soiling himself. I'd be soiling
I don't
myself.
think, bro. He's Mexican.
He looks filthy.
We don't. We're different. Aren't we different?
We're different.
We are different.
We get an OpTic FaZe final at champs.
I'll be
Records will be broken.
It might
the
be
last
400.
time.
And that might be
Ever.
that might
For
be
the last
that
time
might be
ever.
good for us.
Yeah.
Show them like
Yeah.
I don't think they can.
250K on Scump stream.
I mean, we will know the most that we're ever gonna know on that Sunday, because I would have already had my meeting on Thursday. So
these were their champs predictions, with Surge and Boston kind of in the top 8 range, then Rokkr in the top 6 range. I guess Ultra there. I mean, look, someone's got to be 5th here. I've said it a few times. They've gone for Ultra, and I do think that Ultra are the most likely potentially to get exposed to. I think FaZe are always good to make the distance. I've got some confidence in Thieves this weekend. They can make a decent run. OpTic, you never really know. And then Subliners, they should be good enough to get. So, like, to me, it's between OpTic OpTic and Toronto, the most likely team that ends up top 6 here. And that's what I predicted in the bracket that I did yesterday briefly, right? Between the two of them. So it's tough to say. Maybe they're trying to jinx OpTic here, the OpTic guys again, but they go for the win, and I can understand why they would, be behind these guys. And as Scump says, if you're not prepared for champs and you're not looking good, there isn't much time to turn things around. And as, Hex says, it's like, well, we didn't look particularly good at Major 5, did we? So maybe we aren't as well prepared. But Scump believes that it was just a bad weekend, and maybe he has some information from the guys behind the scenes that they're feeling confident. But I thought the comment from Hex was interesting just because we know that Ghosty was unwell pretty much right at the end of the major and following on from the major. And Center said on stream back on the 5th of June, he was like, yeah, Ghosty's still ill, and Hex doesn't want anyone to know. Now, Hex gave an update there and basically said it was about 3 days ago as of recording. So what, today's the 15th. Let's say they recorded that on the 12th or the 13th. 3 days before, maybe the 9th or the 10th. That's when Ghosty was back to being normal again. But it's not exactly ideal, is it, for the OpTic guys? If Ghosty's well now, great, and he can go into the event and hopefully do well. But if he was unwell during that period, as apparently he was, and Center said it, Ghosty said it himself, and now Hex has said he's only just got better, probably not optimal for their preparation. Speaking of Hex, though, there was this from John Robinson last night, the president and chief operating officer at the 100 Thieves side. I don't know if Nachop was here at this, but Hex was most certainly here. So here we go, the owners meeting. We know that they talked a lot about this, right? Nachop and Hex, they talked about it when the whole YouTube deal drama was being leaked and going down, and I imagine that was a point of chief discussion here at the owners meeting. Now, we haven't had any follow-on from this yet, as in we haven't had Hex tweet out, oh, that went really well, that went really badly, they don't listen. Like, they haven't tweeted anything yet. But the owners meeting went down, they got the free food, they got the free beverages, and they discussed things important to the league. I'm sure they made their points. Whether those points will come across, whether the deal has already been signed, right? A couple of hours after they do this meeting, the YouTube deal's pen and paper. We don't care what the owners think. Hopefully that's not the case. But look, they're doing an owners meeting. You'd think, what's the point doing it if they're not going to listen to what their perspectives are? And well, that's all we have information on that as it stands. Just one final quick reminder here, if you guys want to sign up to Fantasy, it's still open for the coming hours before the World Championship begins. This is Zinni's team with Hicksy, pretty popular pick. Huke as well as good value for money, I think was $6. Dashy and aBeZy with his captain, which I think is a pretty intelligent call. Also confirmation that there's no Nick Merckx here on the official Watch Party roster. Not a massive surprise, let's be honest, after all the drama. And it doesn't look like Tim the Tapman is here either, given the fact that they were going to be doing some watch parties and getting paid to do so, but that's not happening anymore. Vicstar is here though, which I think is quite nice. I mean, there's a lot of other like OGs to the scene and plenty of others here as well in this upper echelon. And then even obviously Bozer's here doing all this type of good stuff. And then we've got all the other individuals involved as well. So pretty cool stuff. And well, hopefully we smash some viewership records this weekend, as I'm sure we can, especially if OpTic make a deep run. And as Hex said at the end of that little clip, like hopefully by the time we get to Sunday or we get to the big viewership days, that may help us. Or maybe they've already made their mind up and we don't really know what was discussed in that meeting for now. Let's talk then about the 4 series today. No one is eliminated today. It's all first round games. The winners of these matches secure themselves top 6. The losers will go down to the losers bracket to face off against each other. So the Rokkr Subliners series and the Breach OpTic series, that's on the lower side of the bracket. Surge, FaZe, Thieves, Ultra, that's on the upper side. So the winners of those, winners of 1-3, winners of 2-4, they play each other come tomorrow. Rokkr Subliners could be very interesting here. I think this series can be competitive. Look, they've had 2 weeks of preparation at the end of the day for these games. Subliners, though, their search has been super good. The control is a bit of a toss-up. I think Rokkr could actually take that one, and I'm going to take Subliners 3-2. I think it's going to be close, but I am not really been impressed by Rokkr's search and destroy this year. FaZe should beat Surge. Earlier in the year, this would have been a very competitive series. Last year, there were many competitive series. I'm not sure Surge have what it takes right now. They got 3-0'd, I think, quick on LAN at last time they played, and I'd expect a similar story here. FaZe are coming in with the fire. Then OpTic Boston. I think I'm going to take a 3-1 OpTic here. I think that's what I did in my bracket yesterday. I think it could be interesting. OpTic can lose this series. It's definitely possible. I don't think they will. And then Thieves Toronto. This to me is the banger to close out the day. I'm expecting a game 5, but I'm taking a Thieves W here. I've got them making more of a run here than Toronto will. And it does start the normal CDL time of 3 p.m. Eastern because it's a West Coast event and therefore, the matches start later than they usually do for a major. It is what it is. I'm going to be up late on some of these days, but I'll try my best. Very much appreciating your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy as always. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.